Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Eve. I create beauty and lifestyle content in English, French and Creole, and I'm also a music artist. Today I'm sharing my type of makeup with you, which is basically a soft glam look but leaning more on the natural side. For those of you who might have already seen this video, yes, this is a repost. I felt like the first time I uploaded it, it lacked a bit of human warmth. So I thought, why not give it a second life, this time with a proper voiceover where I actually walk you through the steps. So enough talking, let's jump into the tutorial. Now, like I said, my everyday makeup is what people are calling the clean girl look. Basically, minimal product with a focus on enhancing your natural features. I already did my skincare before filming just to make sure my face was prepped and hydrated. To start, I like using a primer. Here I use the ELF Power Grip Primer. While that's drying down, I use the Got 2B 2-in-1 gel for brows and edges, and I let that fully dry as well. Now onto skin prep. I recently started doing color correcting. It helps even out discoloration like dark circles or any hyperpigmentation. That way your makeup looks more seamless without piling on foundation. Here I'm using the correcteur de Chanel in the shade BR132. I apply it under my eyes, around my mouth, on my forehead, and I spot correct any darker areas on my cheeks. Then I blend everything using a small pointed brush, focusing on precise motions. I do still wear foundation, and a lot of people skip it these days, but hey, makeup is all about what works for you. No judgment here. But my advice would be to put your foundation onto the back of your hand or any flat surface really, so you can control how much product you're applying instead of slapping on too much and having to wipe off the excess. Once that's done, I do a quick brow touch up using a product from Kiko Milano. I'll link everything I use in the description box, so definitely check that if you want the exact names. Sorry though, this is still the concealer from Chanel. It was a gift from a friend and I'm so shocked at how perfect the shade matches. Now into concealer. I usually use two concealers. The first one is close to my skin tone. This is the one I'm applying here. And the second one is usually a bit lighter, but since here I wanted the natural finish, I only use one concealer. Anyway, I do not blend my concealer right away. Letting it sit for a bit gives more coverage. And while it sets, I move on to cream bronzer. I'm using the Made by Mitchell Curved Case palette with a large angled brush. The trick with bronzer is to always blend upward on your cheeks, and when doing your forehead, bring the product closer to your hairline. I also apply bronzer along the bridge of my nose, into my brow bone area, and toward the outer corners of my eyes, just to make sure everything blends together seamlessly. For blush, I'm using the Glow Balm by a brand called Glow Hub, I think, in the shade Jammy. It's actually a multi-use product, so you can use it on your lips as well. I placed my blush right between where I applied my concealer and bronzer, and in case you're wondering how long my concealer has been sitting on my face, no worries, it's been less than 5 minutes, so it was still nice and workable. Since I want a blurred soft focus finish with my concealer, I blend it out using a damp powder puff. I always blend from the outside in, which means I save my under eyes for last. Quick tip, when you're blending, make sure you tap the product into your skin instead of dragging it. That way you keep the coverage right where you need it. Don't forget to add a bit of hydration between the steps. I'll be using the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray in a minute. I mixed it after my cream products, again after my powders, and one last time at the very end. It really helps, I would say, everything melt together. Now let's talk powders. I usually start with a pressed powder that matches my skin tone. This helps blur out any harsh line between products. So I apply it on my cheeks, on my forehead, kind of everywhere except under my eye, because I really want that bright under eyes effect, so I don't want to mess it up with a powder that's a bit too dark. Then I go in with a second pressed powder that's about 3 to 4 shades lighter. This is the one I'm using right here. This brightens up the under eye without making it look too intense, and I apply it with a small pointed brush, a fluffy brush, and I put the powder anywhere. I use concealer under the eyes, on the forehead, the usual spots really. Then I move on to powder bronzer to bring back some warmth into my face. Now listen, don't go straight from the product to your face. Like I mentioned earlier, control is everything. I like to warm up the bronzer on the back of my hand first. It helps the product melt into the brush and makes the application, I would say, smoother. Here's a quick close-up of how the makeup's looking so far. As you can see, everything is nicely blended and connected. Now, since I have oily skin, sometimes I get a little shine after setting spray, so I just take a small fluffy brush with a touch of powder to tone that down. Then I go over everything again with the brush that I used for my first pressed powder, just to blend out any harsh lines and make sure there are no visible demarcations. Honestly, I could walk out the door like that, but you know, finishing touches never hurt nobody. So I'll just apply mascara here since my lashes weren't done yet. I also like to take a little bit of bronzer under the eyes. Now this step is totally optional, but I feel like it makes my eyes pop a bit more, especially since I'm not wearing false lashes. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Don't worry, we're approaching the end of the video. For my lips, I'm using a really pigmented lip pencil from NYX Cosmetics. I'll drop the exact shade in the description box again. Then I just top it off with either the butterscotch or I think Madeline gloss, also from NYX, and that's my go-to lip combo. And finally, the last step I highly recommend if you want your makeup to last is to use an aerosol setting spray. I'm using the one from Kiko Milano. It cost me around 10 euros and honestly it works pretty well. Just use whatever you have, but not the hairspray though. I've seen a lot of people do that. But anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll be happy to help, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, bye.